isn't that why we writers write, to be loved? This spring, after my book came out, I had a couple of readings in New York, and one was an event in a loft in Greenwich Village. And before it began, I couldn't help but notice that this one really imposing guy was commanding everyone's attention. And he had a heavy accent. I thought it was Russian. It turned out to be Israeli. His name was Yitzhak. And Yitzhak was holding court so magnificently that I had to wonder, is he going to quiet down at some point and let me read? But he did, and I did. And like I will do today, I read a piece of something funny and then came in at the end with something tender to bring the story back home where it belongs. And afterwards, Yitzhak comes up to me, glances himself right in front of me, clamps his hand on my shoulders, looks me right in the eye, and says, "You are a beautiful man." And then he pinches my cheeks and gives me just huge hug, bear hug. And all I remember is going on, "Oh yes, that's why I love to write. Yes, 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 yes." And I just think that's why we all write, to be heard, to be listened to be acknowledged, to be recognized, to be understood, to be appreciated for who we are, and to be loved. Speaking of which, I pitched, when I finished the book last year, 40 Years Stoned, I pitched it to 120 New York agents. I mean, why go halfway? And then I sat back to await the confirmation that this was the finest piece of storytelling since Hamlet. Because as writers, as you know, we have to have this ridiculous kind of self-confidence, or else we wouldn't keep plugging away day after week after month after year on material. We have to have this almost Trumpian self-confidence. This is the greatest book ever written, believe me. So anyway, of those 120 agents, 80 could not find the reply button.
It's the cutbacks in publishing, David.
30 of them said no, and 10 asked to see the manuscript. Of those 10, this was my favorite response. "Hi, Tom. Man, we loved it. Fantastic writing, unique story, powerful message, hilarious encounters with celebs. We loved the Brokaw story, and some great adventures, period." And you know what's coming now. "But sorry to say we'll have to take a pass. We can only take on books that we know will sell." Oh, that. That we know will sell, even if they love it. Then I heard of another marijuana memoir, Marla suggested that, called Just Say Yes, by a New York writer named Catherine Hiller, which had been published by a small East Village press called Heliotrope Books. And so I wrote to the publisher, Naomi Rosenblatt, and sent her the manuscript. She wanted no ifs, ands, or buts. So I figure I will fly to New York and seal the deal. This was last fall. And I thought, well, first, before meeting with Naomi, maybe I'll get together with Kathy Hiller, the Just Say Yes author, and get her experience with this publisher. So I invited her to lunch, and we met in Midtown, and we sat down, and Kathy was 5 years younger than me. But the first thing she tells me is, "I've been smoking for 50 years. Obviously, right away, I felt overmatched, outclassed, outgunned, humbled, humiliated, deflated. Like, go back to Detroit and work on your game, kid. But we had a good time, and we got along. And after the lunch was over, she says, "I got a joint in my purse if you'd like to share it." "Oh, sure." I was liking this new line of work. And so we walked out and walked down Fifth Avenue, about 15 blocks to Madison Square Park, and found a bench without too many people, you know, some people with strollers and little kids running around. But, she gets out the doobie, and we smoked it right down to our arthritic fingertips. And all I could think of was, God, you know, the only two members of the Marijuana Memoirs Association of America, we should get busted right here. That's publicity. We could never get the tabloids that love it.
Well, 911 yourself.
Well, that didn't happen. So the next day I met with Naomi. She liked the book. We made the deal. And it's not just a small press, it's a one-woman press. And she's published about 20 books out of her apartment, but she can't pay in advance, she can't pay promotional expenses, but she published me. And I got my story out from here and into the world. And I am making a few people laugh. I am touching a few people's hearts. And I'm a happy guy.